right, and welcome back, everybody. After that short 5-minute intermission, we are back and we are ready to dive right into this next series. It's going to be HongUn.Prime versus Liquid.TLO.
Yeah, both players extremely creative, so could see some really interesting styles here go on in this game. HongUn, very not necessarily similar style to TLO, but he's got that same kind of quality of just doing essentially crazy stuff. TLO, of course, famous for that, doing the nutso builds and making them work. Especially back in beta, everyone was just blown away by him utilizing units that no one else was using, and festers before they became popular. Battle cruisers, nukes, everything. So hopefully we'll see a really interesting game here.
Yeah, and it's going to be a Protoss versus Terran, and one of the things that we've been seeing show up a lot in this matchup, along with the more heavy usage of Ghost in this matchup, just because of how insanely good EMP is, even despite the fact that it got nerfed recently, players have been mixing in a lot of Ghosts into their army composition, just blanket EMPing the Protoss army, and along with that, gives the Terran player the opportunity to drop nukes legitimately and as an actual tactical option, rather than just kind of as a goofy tactic to maybe try and do something that's a little bit funny. So I wouldn't actually be surprised at all if we saw nukes, despite the fact that they're a little bit more unique. And like you're saying, TLO, a very unique player, a lot of unique strategies and builds. He switched between all of the races, definitely known for his Zerga and Terran play. Not so much as Protoss, but he has now decided to stick with Terran as his main race, at least for the time being. You never know when he's going to switch back. He is qualified and placed well in multiple GSLs. We've seen him in Code S, and I think it was just Code S for quite some time. He's also part of Team Liquid, so no small feat there, as Team Liquid has some of the best forwarders on it, of course, TLO, Huck, Jinro, and so on and so forth. Just an excellent lineup all around. And then, of course, on the other side of the coin,
Tyler.
Poor Tyler. I knew I was forgetting a few more players there, and it's like whichever ones
a couple more.
Or I'm just going to feel like such a chump. Of course, Noni's on as well. There's Hey Pro. Can't forget about Nazgul, the manager. And I want to say there's one more I'm forgetting, but I don't think so. I don't know. Rhett.
Yeah, Rhett.
Anyway, I'm not going to play this game no matter what I do. I'm going to look bad. So I'm definitely not going to try and list the Prime.we members.
Not even.
The Prime.we member we're going to be seeing today is, of course, HongUn. He's teammates with players like Marine King. Three-time GSL finalist even, I think, now. Has gotten second place over and over again. HongUn.Prime has done quite well in the GSL multiple times. He's actually one of the few players to take down Liquid Jinro in the GSL. And he's the first person in GSL history to make a carrier. Carriers have this stigma in StarCraft 2 about how badly they suck. And that doesn't scare HongUn. Why would it?
Not at all. Not at all. Of course not.
So game one looks like it's going to be on Zelnaga Caverns. And how do you think that's going to influence a Terran versus Protoss matchup?
I'm almost scared to comment on this at all, since we're going to be casting such unique, creative players. I feel like anything we predict, they're going to be just playing out of the norm here. But of course, we could see some abuse of these cliffs. There's so many cliffs in this map. Cliffs next to these Zelnaga towers. Cliffs above the third, at the gold base, at the fourth. So cliffs can be abused by all types of things. Colossus, tanks up on cliffs. So hopefully we'll see something just going on with that.
Yeah. So with that, I've got this game loaded up, and why don't we dive right into it? So I have the wrong screen on. I'm sure you guys would rather watch the game than a poster. There we go. All right. So let's get this game started in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so dropping in here in bottom left, we do have Liquid.TLO, the little one. And at the top right, we have HongUn.Prime as our green Protoss, playing under the account Zephyr Prime. So don't see right away. Of course, the only thing we could say is no proxy coming out of HongUn. So just keeping his probes on his minerals. What do you think? What do you think? These, I mean, I feel like often when we see these Blizzard maps, especially for some reason on the 2-player maps, we had the problems on Scrap Station and such. There's like these very slight imbalances based on spawn. Do you think there's any, these have any effect on Zelnaga Caverns? You know, if we were to switch the spawns, for example.
The only one that I can think of, I think Zelnaga Caverns is the only map that it actually mirrored correctly. The only big one that I can think of is on the bottom side of the Zelnaga Cavern. You can see a little kind of spire and then some tentacles sticking out of the ground. Those two doodads there are placed in such a position that if you attack move from the right angle on the bottom across the map, then a bunch of units will get stuck behind them. And Blizzard never fixed that, and that's really the only positional imbalance bug that actually exists on this map. The rest of it is pretty good. All of the chokes are the same size. They're all placed relatively the same away from each other. So all in all, as far as general map architecture and not screwing up the simple things, this is by far the first Blizzard map that has came out that they didn't just completely butcher. Shattered Temple is definitely up there as well. But this map definitely a hit as far as Blizzard map making is concerned, which is generally considered not to be of the very best, but this is a map that has shown that it has legitimate competitive staying power, and definitely looking forward to seeing what it's going to bring to this match here with TLO versus HongUn.Prime. I mean, anything goes on this map, and with these two players, it is just, you're taking a shot in the dark. You're throwing a dartboard at like a barn.
Throwing the board itself at the dart. That's what you're doing. It's like
no idea what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we do have a tech lab going down for TLO though, so you know, it could be just going for that, you know, really simple Marauder opening. Could see some Reaper usage for scouting. Often Terran players will like to just create one Reaper and just go scout it out with it. And he is in fact making a Reaper right now, so good just be able to use that to poke into the Protoss base, see what's going on after he loses that SCV. But meanwhile, HongUn playing completely standard right now. Other than the fact that he saved up Chrono. Right now he has, well, he had 53 Chrono left up. And he's actually chronoing out that Stalker. I thought he might be doing something tricky with that Warp Gate tech. But he's also on double gas. And that definitely signifies to me that we're not going to see that any type of really quick expansion from HongUn. As generally in the PvT matchup, you don't need to get the double gas to do a quick expansion. And in fact, we do see a robotics facility going down after the very first gateway. So we could see some one-base Colossus play. We could see some early Immortals. Could see something like Immortal drops. Or could see something, you know, really cool with Warp Prisms. I seriously doubt he would just be going for a one-gate robo just to get that Observer out and scout what his opponent's doing. So probably something good in store for us there.
Yeah, TLO has scouted out just about every inch of this map right now. It's just making sure that he has absolutely all of the information he can get with these units that would otherwise be kind of idle at this point in the game anyway. And he is taking control of this Zelnaga Tower. He also uses Marine to scout out that third base. Now he's got a Reaper in the base of HongUn.Prime. He's already got 2 kills on those probes, but it will get taken down by that sentry. And well, he's seen everything that he really wants to. He knows that there's no proxies or anything like that. Now he's got 2 Marauders out on the field. And he's got a bit of a window to start applying a little bit of pressure right now, especially considering that HongUn is actually making an Observer rather than a fast Immortal. But no concussive shells on these Marauders right now, and that does mean that that window is not really going to be able to do a whole lot, especially since now HongUn.Prime does have a lot of force fields to work with. But he is going for a really quick expansion right now. And considering TLO is doing the same, I do think we're going to see a bit more of a macro-oriented game. But still, no real early blows have been exchanged. TLO now is going to start pressing forward with these 4 Marauders, and a few more at home making their way across the map as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked right now. I mean, he got that Observer out, and then he just went for that quick expansion before even scouting what the Terran might be doing at that time. Could be going for any type of all-in. So a little bit of a ballsy move by him. And now here comes TLO putting some pressure on this Nexus at the natural. If HongUn's not careful, he might have to actually cancel that. It looks like he's going to move out right now with 2 Zealots, some Sentries, and a Stalker. Should be able to deal with this with some nice force fields. There are 2 reinforcements on the way right now, though. And there goes some force fields, blocking off 2 of those Marauders. going to take him out pretty easily. But the Marauders in the back taking out the Zealots, taking out that Stalker as well. And now HongUn in a pretty bad position. Really just going to have to abuse force fields to be able to deal with this. Meanwhile, TLO just dropping down a couple more barracks, really going heavy on the infantry this game. Trying to take out this Nexus. I mean, it's somewhat low, but now just using this stim to do some kiting micro, take out these sentries. Very nice micro by TLO. Target firing those sentries, trying to take him out, but this first Immortal is now out. And now any harassment by TLO will be completely impossible, unless he target fires the Immortal and takes it out, but no. He is forced to fall back because of the risk of those force fields. Oh, HongUn in a really bad position. Doesn't force field, loses the Immortal. Huge mistake there by HongUn. I mean, there's only 3 Marauders here, but still, that's just that's a pretty big blow to lose that first Immortal that you need to deal with this pressure. And the number of sentries he's lost in this game is making me want to cry right now.
You can see units kill tab pretty even at this point, but these Marauders continuing to rack up kills. Marauder with 5 life and 4 kills. Second Immortal is going to finally come out, and now with some Stalkers on the field. HongUn does have an army that can hit pretty hard. TLO is going to fall back, maybe regroup some of his forces. He is going to start burning down these destructible rocks here at the gold expansion, and HongUn.Prime is going to take this opportunity to take a little bit of a breather and catch his tech up to the point where it needs to be so that he can get his macro up and running. Adding on 2 more gateways, this rot going down very quickly, and just a lot of barracks coming out of TLO right now. This is what I like to call as Terran special tactics.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you have to keep in mind from that attack that happened there from TLO, yeah, the units lost might be somewhat even, but losing Marauders isn't as big of a deal as losing Sentries. When you lose those Sentries, you're not going to have that energy in the mid game when you try to move out with Colossi or whatever your army composition choice is. Just like in the PvZ matchup, you have that happen. So losing those Sentries that early, and he did lose quite a large number of them, is really, really going to hinder his ability to do some type of a mid-game push. And that gives TLO a really great opportunity to take that gold base, which he already took out the rocks of. So really solid play by TLO. I love that he was target firing those Sentries. He did some really nice micro in that first attack, and unfortunately HongUn just made some mistakes there. He's gonna have to, do something different to win this. Right now, I see only 4 gates and a robo without any type of robotic support bay, and to me right now, versus 6 barracks, producing tons and tons of infantry as well as ghosts, I feel like just going 4 gate plus Immortal is just not going to be what he needs to be able to beat the force of TLO we're going to have coming up here in just a moment.
Yeah, and now that HongUn.Prime has scouted out the entire main base of TLO, he still missed this Ghost Academy. That's going to be absolutely crucial, as the Ghost Academy and that EMP is going to be what completely shuts down the army composition that HongUn.Prime has selected so far. But he is going to add on the Robotics Bay, and we might see a bit of a 3-pronged attack coming in right now for TLO, attacking through the Taste of Secret hallway to gain a little bit of opportunity. Nice job! And now he's going to be able to split the forces of HongUn.Prime. Going to start fighting these ults here on the high ground ramp. He's going to do a great job kiting those down, but there's just still too much stuff here from HongUn.Prime, at least as far as his army is considered overall. Doing a great job there, finally going to be able to start cutting down those Marauders at his main base, and the remainder of the forces have ran back home. TLO has realized he's not really going to be able to do too much damage with the amount of Immortals that are already out on the field, but pumping out Marauders 6 at a time right now is an absolutely insane amount of Marauders. Just fire bearers, man. It's one of the many ways to play
Marauder,
this matchup.
Pretty nuts. I mean, we do have a robotics bay out for HongUn, and we do have 2 more gateways going down, so he's going to be going for 6 gate plus Colossi off of 2 base. And he is getting that Colossus range, so, I mean, just going for Marauders without even getting Medivacs, I feel like... Oh, now he is getting a starport, so we should see some Medivacs coming up here pretty shortly. Because otherwise we're going to have some serious problems when those Colossi start coming out and wrecking all that infantry. But it looks like TLO's got his timing down just fine. He set up this starport, set up that factory with the reactors, so he can just pump out Vikings from the starport after switching them. Really good timing to deal with those Colossi, since he did scout that robotics bay while it was building.
Yeah, so another Marauder looking like he's going to go for it. And Marauder's trying to sneak through the back door once again. Force field not going to be able to catch any more of them off, but still shutting down that aggression before it can really do anything. Really, really zealot-heavy army coming out of HongUn.Prime right now, and combine that with the force fields and the Colossus, that if he can close these Zealots in on the army of TLO, then the DPS is going to be absolutely insane, completely staying away from Stalkers, as Stalkers are armored units and they melt exponentially fast to Marauders and a very Marauder-heavy army. So making the right decisions as far as the Gateway army is concerned right now, just needs to make sure that his sentries stay alive, keep them split apart so they don't get nailed all at once by the same EMP, and as I say, that making Stalkers against a Marauder-heavy army is not a good choice. He makes 6 of them.
Yeah, and as I was talking about TLO getting Vikings with perfect timing for those Colossi, actually he did not. He was actually just making medevacs with that starport and still has not made a single Vikings. So, without Vikings, this little death ball from the Protoss could be really difficult to deal with unless this Planetary Fortress finishes in time for himself to get some good positioning. Moving forwards into this choke, trying to take out... Oh, takes out a Colossus. Huge misstep from Honda. EMPs going down. Beautiful, but not quite enough. There are still tons of force fields going down, but now the force field's blocking off his own Zealots, so HongUn's force field's not working out so great for him. There, oh, beautiful second layer of force fields going down. Luckily, he did have enough energy, and now TLO's in a terrible position, although that Planetary Fortress is doing work right now on that army.
Yeah, now with no Zealots in HongUn.Prime's army, he is going to fall back. So he doesn't have very many units that can tank the kind of hits that he needs to, especially considering that his opponent has access to EMPs. Money Scan's going to go down right there and get a good idea of what he's going to be going up against. And it does look like HongUn's actually realizing that he wants to work with these force fields to his advantage and just get the Zealots out of his army composition entirely. And he continues to press forward, looking for a good angle to get in here. Not a lot of force field energy for him to work with right now, and the longer he waits, the better of an opportunity TLO is going to have to counter this army composition, as the Vikings have started to pop out. Needs to be careful with these so they don't get too close to the Stalkers, and that will trigger TLO to start pressing forward. Force fields are going to go down, and these Colossus are going to start doing a ton of work. TLO has to fall back once again, but no, is going to continue firing over those force fields, and this is just not working out for him at all.
Yeah, TLO in a really terrible position right now. He went for this kind of mono-dimensional army, didn't get those Vikings until way too late, and just kind of got wrecked by that Colossus death ball. Even though he only had 2 Colossi, it still made the difference, and those force fields were just brutal. So, I mean, it'll be really hard for TLO to stay in this game much longer, and I really feel like the combination of choosing to go for those medevacs instead of the Vikings and the slightly missed EMPs are what cost him this game.
Yeah, there's just not enough stuff for TLO to hold off this many Stalkers, let alone the Colossus and Sentries that have been mixed in. Right now, supply count's 106 to 55 in favor of HongUn.Prime, is now pressing into the main base to shut down the production and put the nail into the coffin. TLO, is going to call the GGs, accidentally hit the spacebar and throw the camera on the other side of the screen. And that is going to put HongUn.Prime up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that was such a back and forth game. Well, I mean, not necessarily back and forth many times, but it felt like TLO had secured himself a pretty darn good position. He got his third up. Unfortunately, HongUn had unfortunately for TLO at least, HongUn had that amazing timing push that came out right when that third was coming up. TLO didn't have that much of an advantage from that. Didn't have that economic advantage, and also TLO made what I consider. Maybe he needed those medevacs, but he went for those medevacs. I consider that a mistake instead of getting those Vikings, and then was unable to deal with those Colossi. And of course, EMP placement in at that quick of a time. I mean, they all got dropped down in less than half a second, so it's hard to place them extremely accurately that quickly. But unfortunately, TLO did not manage to get most of the sentries, and just kept fighting in those force fields that really hurt him. I was really hoping in that position to see something phenomenal come out of TLO, something like just lifting all those Marauders into his medevacs and moving them out of the force fields, but unfortunately we didn't see anything like that, and you just kind of got walked over by that Colossus death ball with force fields.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to get Game 2 started right away. Once again, you guys are watching the Gigabyte StarsWar Killer Tournament number 6 here on IC Cup TV. I am Prodigy, and with me is Orb, and these players are competing right now for a $6,124 first place prize. Second place is going to walk away with about $800, and third place with about $500. Some of the odd numbers there are, of course, because this is a tournament being ran from China, as that is where StarsWar really kind of starts off the grand finals of this tournament, going to be held live in, I believe, Shanghai. And we're right now in the round of 32, and we're going to get HongUn.Prime versus Liquid.TLO. Game number 2 started right away, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.